In July, Google's parent company Alphabet reported a 14% jump in year-over-year revenue, and its core search business, the engine of its trillion-dollar valuation, grew a healthy 11%. But this report lands in the middle of a crisis for Google's most important product. For the past year, the dominant industry narrative is that AI chatbots are an existential threat to Google search. This isn't just speculation. The concrete evidence comes from a damning source, Apple, which uses Google Search as the default search engine on Safari. In recent court testimony, Apple's senior vice president Eddie Q confirmed the market's fears. He stated that search traffic on Safari dipped for the first time ever, a drop he attributed directly to the rise of AI. So how can search be both growing and under threat? Here's the real story. This isn't a contradiction. It's evidence that Google is now operating two fundamentally different business models simultaneously. There is the legacy link-based search engine, a massively profitable cash cow that still funds the entire company. And there is the new expensive AI native engine, built not for profit, but for survival. The central dilemma for Google is that its new AI products, designed to compete with ChatGPT, directly cannibalize the old one. AI overviews give users the answer, reducing the need to click on the revenue-generating links that power its business. To understand this conflict, we need to trace the story from its roots. From the initial decay of its core product and the siege by AI upstarts, to the company's reactive hybrid response, and finally its massive bet on a new search economy. Let's unpack this. To understand why AI is such a potent threat, you first have to understand the state of Google search before the crisis. The reality is, the AI revolution didn't attack a healthy product, it attacked a two-decade-old monopoly that was already showing signs of decay. For years, users had complained about a decline in search quality. The results were increasingly cluttered with low-quality, SEO-optimized content designed not for human readers, but for Google's own algorithms. As Emma Lurie, a researcher at the University of California at Berkeley, who has studied search engines since 2017, put it, there really is a feeling of decay that is just widely felt. The clearest signal of this erosion of trust came from user behavior itself. A new search tactic emerged, appending the word Reddit to queries. It was a simple hack, a way to bypass the algorithmically generated spam and find authentic, human answers. This wasn't a niche trend, it was a widespread user revolt, a clear sign that people were actively looking for an escape from the core product. This decay wasn't just an external perception. Internally, Google's own priorities were shifting away from pure user experience and toward monetization. The historical firewall between the search and ads teams was eroding. In 2019, the company declared a code yellow, an internal emergency, because search revenue goals might be missed. According to emails revealed in the DOJ's antitrust trial, the pressure to boost revenue led to changes that even Google's own head of search at the time, Ben Gomes, found alarming. He wrote, "I think we are getting too involved with ads for the good of the product and company." Shortly after, the ads and search divisions were combined under a single leader, Prabhakar Raghavan, the executive who had been running the advertising business. It was a move that cemented the shift in priorities. By the early 2020s, the picture was clear. Google Search was no longer a nimble innovator. It was a massive, highly monetized, and increasingly vulnerable utility. The product had stagnated, and its users were already looking for alternatives. The door was open for a challenger. This internal decay is a classic story in technology. A market leader, insulated by its monopoly, loses focus on its core product long before the real challenger arrives. Identifying these foundational cracks before they become a full-blown crisis is the kind of analysis we do every week in our newsletter ARGU. If you want to understand the hidden vulnerabilities of dominant companies, you'll find the link in the description. The challenger that finally broke through arrived in late 2022. It wasn't another search engine, it was ChatGPT. Initially, the threat seemed manageable. By April 2025, ChatGPT was handling over 1 billion web searches a week. That's a huge number, but still a fraction of Google's massive volume of nearly 200,000 queries every second. The legacy engine was holding its ground. But the real threat wasn't the volume of queries ChatGPT was stealing, it was the value. ChatGPT began siphoning off the most complex, high-intent searches, the kind that are most valuable to advertisers. This was the first crack in the dam. Now, a second, more dangerous wave of the assault is underway. A new category of AI-native browsers is attacking not just Google's search results, but its entire distribution model. Perplexity AI's new browser, Comet, is already handling nearly 1 billion queries a month, and its strategic goal is explicit: to make the traditional Google search bar obsolete. It's an interface designed to give users the answer directly, bypassing the list of blue links that forms the entire foundation of Google's advertising business. This is a direct attack on Google's most critical asset, its default position on billions of devices. It's a position so valuable that Google pays Apple an estimated $20 billion a year just to be the default engine in Safari. The new AI browsers are designed to make that multi-billion-dollar moat irrelevant. The siege is no longer just about competing for search queries. It's an escalating multi-front war aimed at dismantling Google's core business model piece by piece. The company that had defined the internet was no longer setting the terms of engagement. It was being forced to react. Facing a siege from a new generation of AI-native competitors, Google's response was to engineer a new engine, but it couldn't afford to shut down the old one. The result is a complex two-headed machine bolted onto the core of its search product. The first head is AI Overviews. Introduced in 2024, these are AI-generated summaries that appear at the top of the traditional search results page. On the surface, it was a logical defensive move, designed to give users the quick, synthesized answers they were now seeking from chatbots, and the adoption numbers are significant. Sundar Pichai stated that by mid-2025, AI overviews were already being used over 2 billion times a month. The second head is the more aggressive AI mode. Rolled out across the US in May, this feature transforms the search bar into a full-fledged conversational interface, a direct competitor to the ChatGPT experience. But this two-headed approach has created a fragmented and unpredictable new reality for the businesses that rely on Google for traffic and sales. An analysis by the SEO platform BrightEdge reveals just how different these two systems behave. In AI mode, brands show up in 90% of responses. For businesses, this is critical. It means their products and services are still being discovered by potential customers. In AI overviews, however, that visibility plummets. Brands are mentioned only 43% of the time. This means the AI is often summarizing information and providing answers without citing or linking back to the original businesses, effectively cutting them out of the transaction. For these companies, this isn't a simple upgrade. It's a new, chaotic landscape. The predictable rules of Google Search have been replaced by two distinct and often conflicting AI systems. This hybrid model was Google's answer to the external threat. But in solving one problem, it created a new, far more dangerous one inside its own walls, a fundamental conflict with its own advertising business. To understand the scale of Google's problem, you only need to look at its balance sheet. In 2025, search advertising generated more than half of Alphabet's total revenue, a staggering $54.2 billion in the second quarter alone. The business is built on a simple, brilliant transaction. It gives users free information, and in exchange, it sells advertisers the opportunity to capture a user's attention at the exact moment of intent. The entire economic model depends on one crucial action: the click. But Google's new AI products are engineered to eliminate that click. AI overviews, by design, provide the answer directly on the results page. When a user gets what they need without leaving Google, the publishers and brands that created the information are cut out of the loop. And the opportunity to serve a high-value, revenue-generating ad alongside that final click disappears. This is the cannibal's dilemma. To defend itself against competitors like ChatGPT, Google has been forced to deploy a technology that directly attacks its own golden goose. This isn't a future problem. The data is already showing the effects. According to a report from Bright Edge, the number of search impressions, the links shown to users, grew by 49% in the year since AI overviews were launched. But the report also highlights the critical issue. Users aren't actually clicking on those revenue-generating links as much. As one Wall Street Journal analysis put it, that is a puzzle Google will have to solve to keep itself on top. The company is now in a race against itself. It must find a new way to integrate ads and generate revenue from its AI-powered answers before the decline in traditional clicks erodes the multi-billion-dollar foundation of its search business. Every time a user gets a perfect answer from an AI overview, Google wins the battle for user satisfaction, but it risks losing the war for profitability. So, how does Google solve a problem of its own making? How does it survive a technology engineered to devalue its most critical asset, the click? The company's answer, laid out in its latest earnings call, is to lean directly into the disruption. Their bet is that AI won't kill search, it will expand it. CEO Sundar Pichai was explicit, stating that AI features cause users to search more as they learn that search can meet more of their needs. This expansion isn't just about more text queries. It's about creating entirely new commercial behaviors that don't rely on the old blue link. Philipp Schindler, Google's chief business officer, highlighted that visual queries using Google Lens are one of the fastest growing types, up 70% year over year, with a healthy growth in direct shopping queries. The next step is to turn search from a research tool into an action tool. Schindler pointed to a new agentic capability, rolling out to all US users, that allows for AI-powered calling to local businesses directly from the search interface. The most forward-looking part of this new economy is immersive commerce. Google is now rolling out a virtual try-on experience, allowing users to try on billions of clothing items. According to Schindler, early engagement has been extremely positive, especially with Gen Z. But creating new features is easy. The critical question is whether they can be monetized at the same scale as the legacy business. On this, Google is projecting confidence. Philipp Schindler stated that for AI overviews, the company sees monetization at approximately the same rate as traditional search. This is a crucial signal to the market. It suggests the core economics are holding steady, which buys them the financial runway to build out what Schindler called the next-generation ad formats. This is Google's strategic answer to the siege. They're attempting to transform search from a simple text-based utility into a multimodal, action-oriented commerce engine. The goal is to make the platform so indispensable for discovery and shopping that the value lost from fewer clicks is replaced by new, more sophisticated revenue streams. It's an ambitious and expensive bet on a completely new kind of search economy. But the fundamental question remains, can they build this future fast enough to outrun the decay of the present? So we return to the question from the start. How can Google's search business be both growing and under an existential threat? The answer is that Google is a company now managing two different strategic horizons. The short-term horizon is measured by the quarterly ad revenue of its legacy link-based business. And as the latest earnings report showed, that horizon is still clear, with 11.7% growth funding an unprecedented $85 billion in capital expenditure. But the second, longer-term horizon is measured by the adoption of AI. This horizon is advancing much faster and threatens to eclipse the first. The evidence from the erosion of trust in the core product to the rapid growth of AI-native competitors shows that the foundation of the legacy business is becoming less secure. Google's bet is that its new multimodal search economy can become profitable before the old one declines. The entire investment thesis for the company now hinges on this single, brutal question. Can the cash flow from the short-term horizon fund the transition to the long-term horizon before it's too late? The signals to watch are no longer just earnings. They are the market share of AI-native browsers and the real-world monetization of Google's new agentic features. Because the ultimate threat isn't just that users will choose a different search engine, it's that they will stop using a search engine altogether. This isn't just a crisis for Google, it's a fundamental rewiring of how information is accessed and monetized online, with massive ripple effects for the entire tech ecosystem. How will this impact the advertising models of companies like Meta? And does it create a new strategic opening for Apple? These are the kind of second-order questions we deconstruct every week in our newsletter ARGU. It's designed for anyone who wants to understand not just what's happening in tech, but why it's happening. The link is in the description below. Thanks for watching.